The juice on the recruiting trail has returned to Tuscaloosa. Bama lands a pair of commits this week and pushes them into the top 5. Kalen DeBoer has it going. And there was some concern. Bama fans, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I got the great Tim Watts on, and we're going to talk about Bama recruiting in this video. We're going to break it all down. But first, Alabama fans, do me a favor right now. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. Bama recruiting heating up, and we're going to talk about it. So jump on board, hit subscribe. All right, let's bring on Tim Watts and Bama top 5 in 2025 right now. They landed 2 big commitments this week. We'll start with the number 2 athlete in the country, number 35 ranked player overall, big win, Duke Johnson, Dodge County High School in the state of Georgia. We'll start with him. He was a dream school guy. Bama lands him. How were they able to do it? And he's an athlete. Where do you see him fitting in?
Yeah, the dream school is an issue for Alabama fans sometimes because they had this jinx deal where the kid said it's a dream school. He never went there. But Ryan Williams, Jalen Mbakwe kind of knocked that down. Duke Johnson's another one. Alabama really loved his visit there. Alabama jumped in with an offer after meeting the staff and really moved high on his list. He was pretty excited about Alabama. And if you look at what Kane Womack expects to do in the future, he's kind of that utility knife, Swiss Army knife guy, utility guy that I keep talking about that he wants in his defense. You see him on the edge, you see him in the middle, you see him some on offense. He does a lot of things. Highly recruited guy. I think he's top 35 in the country. Yeah. Was certainly a big win for Alabama. And that mark, you know, they set a lot of tables in February. It was quiet. And I think that sort of pushed the narrative of can Kalen DeBoer, can this staff recruit? And then we've seen March be much more fruitful for Alabama.
So where do you see him fitting in? Because he's 6'1", 200 pounds. Sounds like maybe a defensive prospect listed as an athlete.
Yeah, he's definitely going to end up at linebacker, but he's a guy that can drop into coverage, come off the edge, get through the middle, make things happen. Kind of a sick'em guy. Find the ball, get the ball, go chase it, add pressure. And that's a lot of what Kane Womack's defense is they call it the swarm. It's just being busy, confusing. But those guys, it's important they can come off the edge and drop back into coverage, which is what Duke can do.
All right, so then they pick up Abdul Sanders last night out of Mater Dei High School in California. Was this a previous relationship with Kalen DeBoer and his staff, or did this just pick up when he landed at Alabama?
Yeah, definitely a previous relationship. The Washington staff was there. Courtney Morgan was a guy that knew him and the family really well. He came and visited in February. You fly across the country, California to Alabama in February. I mean, you're leaving some decent weather for some pretty chilly weather. But when he comes back in March, we knew how serious it was. We were actually expecting him. We expected, and I think he expected to commit next week. But he went to Alabama, loved it so much, couldn't wait, went home, committed. Our boy Hayes Fawcett had the edit right out of the blue, kind of dropped it on the head. And, again, another linebacker, you look at the same thing. He's probably not as drop back as Duke was, but he is a guy, you see him. I mean, the start of his highlight tape is him showing his football IQ, how smart he is. He's a big guy, moves well. But you see several times picking up backs out of the backfield while also going through the muck in the middle and pressuring the quarterback, finding the ball and making tackles in the backfield.
So what's clicked? I alluded to it at the top. There was some concern. I don't know if concern's the right word to use for Alabama fans, but there was definitely some uncertainty in the first few weeks that Kalen DeBoer took over. But it seems like recruiting has clicked. What's gone on with Kalen DeBoer and the staff to find so much success so early on in their tenure at Alabama?
I think for Alabama fans, there was questions of whether he can recruit here because they didn't know. And then rival fans got in their head pretty strong with that he can't recruit. Right. Auburn fans were calling him Brian Harsin, which is I don't understand. Brian Harsin doesn't represent the whole West. There's different personalities and different stuff going on there. But I think Alabama fans did have some concern. And then it was kind of funny because February's the dead period and it was dead, but people were freaking out because it was dead. But what I think happened is you saw him get their feet under them, start reaching out. They had guys connections in the South. They have Freddie Roach, Robert Gillespie, Bob Welton, Ashley Kimball, a lot of guys, Denzel Duvall, Josh Chapman, a lot of guys that were on Saban's staff that carried over Kalen DeBoer, all with Southern connections, have been recruiting the South for some time. And then you bring in Courtney Morgan, all these coaches, and Colin Hitchler from up north, the defensive back coach, Lindquist, is from up north. You have all these guys kind of merging together, and Kane Womack was a head football coach at at South Alabama, so he certainly recruits the South. But I think February set the table, and then March they're eating.
Yeah. And you know, Kalen DeBoer gets the credit. He deserves the credit. But like you said, there's a lot of assistant coaches that are on the ground doing the work, and they're one of the big reasons for this early success at Alabama. Before we let you go, Tim, Gerard Pringle, running back from Armwood High School in Tampa, his recruitment is really picking up. Chad Simmons has been writing a lot about him. We've been featuring him here on the Inside Scoop. But yesterday he was in Tuscaloosa. What are you hearing about Pringle and Bama and where things stand?
It's early, but the feedback from that visit was really good. And that's one thing you should note about the Alabama staff is they really have a good reputation for when these kids are on campus. You know, Nick Saban wasn't really about having spring practice and hosting 100 kids in a week. That's a lot of foot traffic. That's a lot of distraction. That's a lot away from coaching your players and all. Kalen DeBoer and his staffs did a really good job with that. They've been very consistent. All the feedback is good, getting hands, because you got to leave practice to shake somebody's hands. You know how it is. You get that many kids on campus, you don't want to offend anybody. We've seen that on big official weekends, unofficial visit weekends. So they did a really good job of making sure, you know, the kids have a good time. They get to meet the coaches and all that. And the coaches seem very active as well. Every one of them seemed to be that genuine, active recruiter.
All right, so we're going to have big visit weekends really all through the spring. Like you said, this is kind of Kalen DeBoer's style. So do we have another big one on tap for this weekend?
Yeah, I think every weekend is going to be big for Alabama. I mean, you're looking at another 15 or 20 guys coming in. Ty Jackson's coming in, monster linebacker, lays the lumber. David Sanders, 5-star offensive tackle. I mean, you have guys coming in this week, a lot of big names. Yeah. And again, that list, you know, we've seen that list change a little bit. We've seen guys surprise because some will confirm and some will make plans. Depends on their schedule. So it's been interesting following it. But yeah, they've had a lot of good foot traffic and a lot of big names on campus.
All right, Bama fans, be locked into Bama Online all weekend. Updates will be rolling in. I know I'll be all over those message boards. Tim Watts, thank you for dropping by the Inside Scoop today.
You're welcome. Anytime, guys.
Thank you for watching this video. And if you enjoyed that, go check out the hundreds of videos that we have on this channel. And also, do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel.